You know your teens' friends' names, but do you actually know them? Why your teens' close friend circle is the most important thing happening in their life right now. And about a very specific strategy for actually knowing who your teen is spending their time with. Peer influence on teenagers is not a dramatic version most parents picture. The offer of a cigarette, the dare to cross a line, the explicit invitation to do something dangerous. That version exists, but is rare. The version that actually shapes your teen happens silently. It looks like belonging. It looks like your teen slowly adjusting their language, their opinions, their humor, their standards for what's acceptable. Not because anyone demanded it, but because that's what it takes to stay inside the group. One specific friend can shift a teenager's trajectory more than any teacher, any tradition, any value you've spent years building at home. Not through pressure, through proximity, through what becomes normal when you spend enough time with a specific person. This is why knowing the close circle, actually knowing them, is not overreach, it's due diligence. The parent who knows their teen's friends knows what's being normalized in their teen's world before it shows up at home. That's awareness, and awareness is the only thing that gives you the ability to respond rather than react. So get to know them. And one of the best strategies is to create the opportunities yourself. Make your house the Hangout House, but with the obvious reasons as secondary objectives. Yes, your teen benefits from having a safe space where their friends feel welcome. Yes, you're providing something valuable to kids who may not have this at home. Yes, it's good for the relationship between you and your teen. All of that is true. But none of it is the main point. The main point for making your house the teen's headquarters is when your teen's friends are in your house, you are in the room. And when you are in the room, moving around your kitchen, setting the table, serving food, making yourself busy, you see and hear things that no amount of direct questioning would ever uncover. The Hangout House is an intelligence operation disguised as hospitality. The moving parent is invisible. The still parent is an interrogator. Note the distinction. Now, none of what follows fully works if you're caught off guard. The meal requires preparation. The house requires a certain state. Your own mood requires a certain readiness, and none of those happen in 5 minutes. Which is why the advance notice is essential. Teach your teen to give you at least a day, ideally 2, before friends come over. As a practical agreement between two people who both want the same outcome. Friends who feel welcome in a house that's ready for them. The conversation with your teen should be simple. When you give me notice, I can make it good. When you don't, I can't. Which version do you want? The advance notice does 2 things. It gives you time to prepare the environment, the meal, the house, the right conditions for everything we are about to talk about. And it gives your family time to show up well for your teen's friends, which are forming an opinion of your family every time they walk through the door. Give yourself the conditions to influence what that opinion is. 1 day's notice, 1 simple ask. Before the friends arrive, and with the notice you now have, there are 2 things to get right. The physical space and the atmosphere. About the physical space. Most parents put the gaming console in the teen's bedroom because it keeps everything contained. I don't. The gaming console in the living room means the friends are in the living room. The surround sound system in the common space means the music is in the common space. The big TV in the living room means everyone gathers where I can move through invisibly. We are designing the space of where they naturally spend time. Also, try to make the house appealing for the teens if you can. The LED lights that they wanted, the fluffy pillows, the makeup mirror, the surround system they've been asking about, the latest game. These aren't indulgences, they are investments. Every yes to the latest game is an investment in knowing who your teen is spending time with. Well, about the vibe, this is harder to manufacture. The house needs to feel like a place where good things happen, where energy is light, where an adult's presence doesn't create formality or tension, where teenagers can be themselves without performing for anyone. That atmosphere is built over time through consistent small choices. How you greet the people, how you move through the space, whether you seem pleased they are there or merely tolerating them. The friends will feel it immediately if it's genuine or if it's not. Be glad they are there. Because the alternative, teenagers who don't come to your house, whose friendships with your teen you never see, is worse. Now, the mechanics. How the intelligence actually flows. The bedroom and the kitchen, two different spaces, two different functions. The bedroom is theirs. Snacks, privacy, their conversation, their world. Don't hover outside the door. Don't find reasons to go in. That space needs to exist and it needs to be theirs. Because if it doesn't exist, they won't come back. The kitchen and the table, that's yours. And that's where the operation runs, the meal. A snack is grabbed and taken to the bedroom. A meal requires the table. This is why a proper meal, not a snack spread, a meal, is the foundation of the whole system. The table is the only place where a group of teenagers will sit in the same space, with no screens between them, with an adult moving naturally around them. It's the one environment where the normal performance of teenager in front of adult relaxes slightly. Because everyone is eating and eating together is disarming. So set this properly so the mealtime will be enjoyable and long. Prepare something that is commonly enjoyed and smells so good so they'll be looking forward to it. Also have starters, homemade lemonade, lots of good stuff to keep them engaged longer. And then call them. While you are setting the table and finishing the food, move around. Be busy with something. Don't sit down and join them. Let the conversation happen without you anchoring it. You'll hear things in the first 10 minutes that you'd never hear if you walked in and sat down. During the meal, serve, move, listen more than you speak. Participate without dominating. A question here, a comment there, nothing that redirects the conversation towards you. Don't ask questions while their mouths are full. Don't hold them at the table with direct questions. Let the meal do that. What you are watching while you serve, who talks and who listens, who your teen looks at before they speak, whose approval they are looking for, who gets interrupted and accepts it and who pushes back, who eats comfortably and who seems tense, who thanks you and who doesn't even register that you exist, how they speak to each other, whether your teen seems like themselves or slightly managed version of themselves. None of this requires a single direct question. You are watching a system operate in real time. Dessert is the retention tactic. Always offer dessert. And specifically, try to offer something warm that has to be made at the stove. Pancakes, waffles, crepe. Why? Warm dessert has to be made in front of them, which means you are at the stove, which means they are in the kitchen watching it happen, smelling it, waiting for it. Nobody leaves while the pancakes are still coming off the pan. The waiting period while the pancakes cook is when the guard comes down. The performance relaxes. The conversation that wouldn't have happened during the main course happens now. Because the food is coming and everyone is comfortable and nobody's thinking about leaving yet. Make the pancakes slowly. Stay at the stove. Keep your ears open. Then the drive home. Offer to drive them home. Not all of them. One or two, whoever needs it, whoever lives furthest. The car is the ideal intelligence environment. You are moving. There is no eye contact. There is a shared destination. There's road noise or music. Teenagers talk in cars in ways they don't talk face to face. You are not asking questions. You are driving. And you're listening to what fills the silence. Between them, between your teen and their friend. Occasionally directed at you when they forget to be careful about what they say in front of an adult. Drive slowly. Take the long route, if you can. So, what you are actually watching for? You don't need to hear every word to learn something significant. Here's what to observe: who your teen becomes around specific friends. This is the most important thing you'll observe. Around some friends, your teen becomes more confident, more expansive, more themselves. Around others, they become quieter, more careful, slightly smaller, more performed. The friend who makes your teen larger is an asset. The friends who makes your teen smaller, who requires your teen to shrink, to manage, to be careful, is worth paying close attention to. What else? The hierarchy. Every friend group has one. Who leads and who follows? Who sets the tone? Where your teen sits in that structure. Whether the hierarchy is healthy and rotating or rigid and punishing. How they treat you. This tells you something precise about each of them and about their home. The friend who thanks you, who makes eye contact, who registers that you've done something for them, has been taught to notice adults. The friend who doesn't register your existence has been either very indulged or very unseen. Both are useful information. The friend who is slightly too eager to impress you, who performs for you in a way that others don't, is often the one whose home situation is most complicated. How they treat your teen. Watch especially for this. Whether they speak to your teen with warmth or with a slightly diminishing edge. Whether they include or exclude. Whether they laugh with your teen or occasionally at them. The difference between those two things is easy to miss in the moment and impossible to unsee once you've spotted it. What questions are allowed? There are questions you can ask the friends directly, and there are questions you cannot. Allowed and generally useful are: what's your most liked teacher? Open, non-pressuring, gives them something easy to answer. Are you doing anything interesting outside school? Opens a window into who they are beyond the group dynamic. What do you think about something in the news or culture they would have an opinion on? Treat them as thinking people rather than accessories to your teen's life. They will remember that you asked. Questions not allowed. Grades, future plans, relationship status, anything about their home situation beyond what they had already offered. Anything your teen would recognize as an attempt to gather information through their friends rather than from them directly. The rule is simple. Ask what you would ask any person you were genuinely getting to know. Don't ask what you'd ask a suspect. At some point, once you know which friendships matter most, meet the parents. As a natural extension of the relationship between families, school events, pickups, the casual conversation at the gate, a message when your teen has been at their house, thank you for having her, she had a great time, a coffee if the relationship warrants it over time. What you're assessing, without making it an assessment, is context. What kind of home does this friend come from? What are the values operating there? What does this friend's family situation tell you about what they bring to your teen's world and what they might need from yours? You don't need to know everything. You need to know enough to understand the context your teen is spending significant time in. Now, the do nots. A few things that close the operation down permanently. Don't compare. Why can't you be more like him? Said to your teen ever about any of their friends is the fastest way to ensure that friend never comes back to your house. And your teen never tells you anything real about them. Another one. Don't embarrass your teen in front of their friends. With old stories, childhood nicknames, things said with affection that lend as exposure, in the Hangout House context, is doubly damaging because it happens in the space your teen has brought their people into. Violate that space and they won't bring people back. Don't interrogate the friends. A barrage of questions, even friendly ones, signals that visiting your house has a toll at the door. Word travels fast. The Hangout House reputation depends entirely on it feeling genuinely low pressure. Don't share what you hear. What you observe and hear stays with you. If you repeat something to another parent, if you mention something at a school event, if you use what you've learned as social currency in any way, your teen will find out and everything closes permanently. Don't complain about your teen to their friends. Mine here doesn't clean his room unless I nag him. She never wants to eat any salad. She stays up late instead of doing the homework. Don't overstay your welcome at the table. You serve, you move, you participate briefly, and then you find something else to do. The moment you pull up a chair and settle in, the dynamic shifts. They start performing for you rather than being themselves. Move, stay busy, drift in and out. That's the position of maximum intelligence with minimum interference. Don't disappear completely either. The parent who is so committed to giving teens space that they never seen is just a house with snacks. You want to be known. The friends need to know there's a real person here who is very interested in them. That takes showing up, but briefly. Okay, what about if you see the problematic friend? At some point, you'll have a friend in the circle that concerns you. Something you've observed at the table. Something in how your teen behaves around them. Something about the dynamic that doesn't sit right. Here's what doesn't work. Telling your teen directly that you don't like this friend. It almost never works. The friendship will intensify and you lose the access. What works instead? Ask questions or make comments that make them question the friendship. And what do his parents think about this? I noticed that she often contradicts herself. Or it seems that what he says and what he does are two different things. These observations, said without an agenda in your tone, plant a seed. It invites your teen to do their own assessment rather than defend against yours. Teenagers who are asked to assess their own friendships often arrive at the same conclusions you have, just slightly later. Keep the house open. This sounds counterintuitive, but the friend you are concerned about is the one you most need in your house. Where you can see the dynamic, where your teen is on your territory, where you can observe without intervening. Closing the house to that friend pushes the friendship into spaces you can't see. Keep them close and keep your eyes open. Strengthen the friendships that are working. The most effective way to reduce the influence of a problematic friend is to make the better friendships more available, more visible, more present. Create opportunities. Make the house particularly welcoming when the good influence friends visit. Suggest activities. Offer the car. You are not banning anyone. You are adjusting the ecology of your teen's social world. When a friendship is really good for your teen, when you can see them becoming more themselves around a specific person, invest in it. Notice the friend specifically. Remember what they told you last time and ask about it the next time they are at the table. How did that exam go? You mentioned last month you were worried about it. That level of attention is rare from an adult. The friend will remember it and they'll want to come back. Create opportunities for the friendship to deepen. Suggest activities. Offer the car. Make your home a place this specific friendship flourishes. The friend who feels seen in your house will tell their own parents about you. Will feel comfortable coming to you if something goes wrong. Will be a presence in your teen's life that you can actually see and assess rather than a name you hear occasionally and never meet. That's the return on investment. And it starts with a meal and a slow drive home. We cannot be inside our teens' social world. We are not supposed to be. But we can create the conditions where their social world comes to us, where the people who are shaping our teen spend time in our kitchen, at our table, in our car, and where we, moving around our own space, hear and see and understand things that no direct question would ever answer. It starts with one day's notice. It runs through a proper meal and pancakes at the stove. It ends with a slow drive home and the conversation that happens when no one is looking at each other. So, stock the fridge, set the table, make the pancakes slowly, and keep your ears open.